Hola. Hey, good evening, everyone. Hey, I'm Adam, and this is TC, and this is Kurt. And thanks for hanging out with us tonight for Cocktails and Vinyl. So tonight's a special edition. We've got the Darn Brothers here, and of course, Darn Brother TC and Darn Brother Kurt. And where's the other Darn Brother?
Darn it.
Darn it, where is he? Hey, TC, how are you tonight?
Doing okay.
Good. And how are you, Kurt?
I'm doing great. It's Friday.
Wonderful. It is Friday. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Yeah. So that's exciting. Let's see. So typically on Cocktails and Vinyl, we just show records and talk and drink and talk
Well,
and show more
Adam,
records.
you should not be drinking if you're driving. So
Okay, I promise. I don't
and
have
I've
any
got my,
records
more
in here
beer,
to show.
my Fear More Beer shirt on today. So just
Ah,
in honor of
okay.
Cocktails and Vinyl. So
Yeah. Now it looks like Art is in the house. Hello, Art. How are you tonight? And
Candy.
then we have Adam NC. Hey, Adam, how are you? And then Candy. Candy, it's so good to see you. Thanks for joining with us tonight. We appreciate it a bunch. Um, can't help but wonder if Sean's text or emailed me or something like that. He'll be in trouble. Yeah. Well, TC, it looks like, why don't you go first? Just show us a record or two, and then Kurt, then, yeah. And we'll just hang out and talk about records.
All right. After what we were talking about, you and I on when you did Katie's show the other night.
Oh, yeah, that was fun.
Just about it was. It was a lot of fun watching, a lot of fun seeing all the crazy stuff you had. I decided to just dig through my stuff and come up with some interesting stuff. The first one I have is, according to a unnamed collector site online, is worth quite a bit of money. I got this when I was in high school.
$5.
Right.
I mean, that was my offer.
Donnie and Joe Emerson, Dreaming Wild. There was only, I think, 500 copies made. These guys were local to where I grew up. A friend of the family of ours was their bassist for a while. This thing runs about $375 now if you're looking to buy it. It's hard to find, and of course it's a what do they call that, a private press? Enterprising Company is the label. The band director at my old high school is the person that produced the album.
So TC, are they co-joined twins or what?
No, that's just the terrible jumpsuits they had on.
Okay.
Did you ever go to their barn, TC?
To where?
They had a barn that they would perform in that their father built for them.
No. You know who these guys are?
Huh?
You know who these guys are?
Yeah, they have a wonderful story. I've listened to the record many times. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's so cool.
My turn, Kurt. Okay. I didn't really know what to pull, so I pulled stuff that I've just recently purchased. So I've got a big stack of things I just recently got. The most important thing that I've gotten in the last week is this is Nick Cave and Warren Ellis. This is the Carnage. Just came out early this week or late last week, and it's fantastic. And if you're a Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds fan or Nick Cave fan at all, you need to listen to it. And then Warren Ellis is just an outstanding musician. He largely plays the violin, but plays a wide variety of instruments. And this is just and I'm going to admit that I'm a Nick Cave geek. But I was so excited to get this, and I think I ordered it through your website. No, I ordered it online. But it's just a fabulous record. So.
Wow. Well, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
Is that a 10-inch, Kurt, or is that a 12-inch?
No, it's a 12-inch.
It's the way you were holding it. It looks almost like a 10-inch.
Yeah, no, it's just because my hands are small.
There we go. Yeah.
The reality is that's not true, but
there you go. Well, let's say hey to Chris. Record Talk is here. Good evening, Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah. I'm going to pull over into a parking lot. Sean says the link I sent to him isn't working, so I'll do that in just a minute. So if you're listening, Sean, the link is coming soon. TC, what you have for the?
Um, again, I know everybody. I know Sean is into deep jazz. I don't go that deep. I just go pretty much fusion and popular jazz.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, nobody better than Herb Alpert. I've been a fan since I was a kid. This is my favorite Herb Alpert solo album, Beyond, from 1981, 80 or 81. I forget which year. But Herb is, I'm got to go back and get all the Tijuana brass stuff. I'm just starting to collect it, but I've got all of his 80s albums and love them. Herb is just, you can't go wrong with Herb. At least I don't think
I remember the first time I put the dots together and realized that the guy who did Rise also was the guy who had Whipped Cream and Other Delights. Yeah. Everyone, let's welcome Sean. Hello, John.
Hello, Sean.
Yes, how we doing?
Good. Okay. How are you? Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah. Well,
Adam
cool.
can't drink because he's driving.
I can't drink because I'm driving. All right, Kurt. All right. So we're just doing a round robin.
Adam?
There you go. We're doing a round robin, Sean. So Kurt's going to show us something, then it'll be your turn.
All right.
So, as a former skater in my youthful days, I've been trying to go back and find some of the old skate rock and skate punk, and so one of the things I've been trying to find more of is the Faction. If you're familiar with the Faction, which is has Steve Caballero, who's one of the early premier and still skaters, played with this band, and they were, I think, out of the desert. But anyway, so this is kind of a little bit of a compilation, but it's got only like 6 songs. But again, great early kind of skate hardcore punk from the early to mid '80s. So picked this up on a auction over the last week and a half. So really happy to have it. So fun stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
So Sean, what do you have?
I don't know. Let's see. So a few weeks back, I got very fortunate, and just a second. There we go. So found one of these. Of course, I think we all have a copy of that. And this one's an original, and it still has both posters and both stickers.
Wow.
So I see these with the posters fairly regularly, but I never see them with the stickers. So
that's cool.
Is that a domestic pressing?
It is. Yeah, it's U.S.
There you go. And with us is James, Amputee Adventures. Hey, James, how are you? Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yep.
Yeah, well, that's very cool, Sean.
So before we keep going around, let's tell the story of the Darn Brothers, shall we? For those who
let's do. Yeah.
Let's do that.
So is Anonymous in the house tonight?
I don't see Anonymous in the house, but if Anonymous is in the house, Anonymous certainly gets a big nod for the Darn Brothers issue. So,
would you like to start it off, Kurt? The story with the Darn Brothers?
Yeah, so
I wasn't present for it.
So I'll tell you as much as I know, and TC and Sean, you can add whatever you want to add to it, whether it's true or not. With Adam's record sales, often the three of us are regular attendees to Adam's record sales online, and he has a lot of. Oh, Anonymous is here. Thank you. Maybe we should let Anonymous come in.
Hello, Anonymous.
At one point, Anonymous said, "Well, only one or two of the Darn Brothers are here." It's like, who are the Darn Brothers? And I thought, okay, well, I bet I'm a Darn Brother, because oftentimes when TC gets something, or I get something, or Sean gets something, one of us will say, "Darn it, I was hoping to get that." And it turns out that was actually at least partially part of what the Darn Brothers were. So the three of us, at least from what I can gather, and I think TC, you seem to agree with this, and Sean, I don't know how much you've been a part of this. was that we're the three Darn brothers, because we are quick to buy things from Adam, and then also quick to say, "Oh shoot, I wish I'd have gotten that," as opposed to you.
Yeah,
So,
hey, I'm happy to hear that.
So we're either
I love it.
Adam's biggest suckers, or we're biggest also very good vinyl champions, I think is what it really means.
Yeah, so, I'll go with that.
There you go.
I would say suckers if Adam sold crap, but Adam doesn't sell crap. So
No.
Oh, thank you. You should have seen the stuff the lady brought in today.
No, Record Talk, I don't say darn if it's something that TC bought and I didn't want. If it's something that TC bought and I knew TC was going to buy it, I'll say, well, that doesn't surprise me. And same with Sean, because we all kind of know what each of us are buying now in these days.
Yeah, and we all have a lot of overlap, but we also each have our own little niches too.
Yeah, yeah. Always count on Sean to get the really good jazz stuff. TC's always going to get the kind of 70s, 80s pop stuff, or 90s even pop stuff, and I'm going to get the weird kind of crap.
I don't know. I go in for the weird kind of crap too.
You do that as well. I've noticed that lately in particular. It's like, TC, did you just buy that?
and the beautiful music, easy listening stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said that there weren't a few times where TC bought something and I'm like, really?
Yeah, and TC also enjoys radio transcripts.
See, I just love to mess with your head.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I think we all appreciate each other's interests in purchases. So,
oh yeah,
and I think that together we probably have some super library that we can donate to Smithsonian or something when we're done.
Oh, man.
Yeah, there you go. And Chris was saying, I want to make sure I missed the comment, so I might ask TC to read. Chris was saying, that's how it started. Fast to buy, fast to darn. That was anonymous. And Chris says, so do you say that even if you don't want it? Sometimes for fun. Because the line at RC, everybody came out and says, you got what I want, even if I don't know what they bought. There you go.
I think it usually happens when we both bid on something and one of us, is first and one of us is not. So, and the other one always goes, darn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It says, even though I bought
too slow, Adam, that's what the problem is.
Yeah. And Chris says, even though I bought mostly jazz and classic country from Adam, he correctly detected I'd like a shoegauge album when I won the drawing. That's right. I sent him he won one of the prizes on a Sunday night, so I sent him Glassine. I think you got one too.
Glassine record, yep.
Yeah, I like that record a lot. Yeah, well, very cool. I think we're still waiting for Sean. I mean, Sean, it's your turn for the first one.
I just went, so TC can go.
Oh, okay. I'm halfway driving, so I'm not paying full attention. Thank you, Sean.
Hopefully, you're fully driving.
Yeah, I was going to say you should be fully driving, Adam.
Yeah, he's never fully driving. That's the problem. Going to show an album that 90% of the vinyl community utterly loathes right now. I've seen so many people complain about it. And, I can't help it. I grew up in this era, and this album saved my life in high school. Star Wars, Other Galactic.
Oh, I love Miko. Yeah.
I am a huge fan of Miko.
Me too.
I have most everything. I'm still trying to get a couple singles on one of the albums.
Everyone says that record's common. I have never seen one of those with my own eyes.
I haven't seen one in the wild either.
Love this thing. Listen to it almost every day through high school because even though I went to a small town high school in Washington State, we just it was nuts, and it was the late 70s, and that got me through.
There you go. Well,
all right.
TC, if I had a dime for every album I love that music lovers and critics tell me I should hate, I'd be a very, very rich man.
Yeah, me too.
Got that right.
Come on, Kurt, give us something good.
All right. Well, I don't know how good it is, but it's not a secret to anyone. I'm a big Joy Division fan, and I know Sean, you posted you got the Unknown Pleasures recently. I think you were posting about. I just got, and I've got most of their LPs, but I don't have all the original factory singles. And this is an originally factory single of She's Lost Control in Atmosphere.
Is that US or UK?
No, this is the UK version
Nice.
of it. So, well, I mean,
cool.
I think it was originally released in the US, but this is the UK version of the US release.
That's cool.
So, so I just picked this up. And again, Joy Division, I don't know what else to say except for you can't go wrong. But
you're so right.
But again, finally, I mean, having had everything else by them for decades, I finally started to pick up a couple of the 12 inches that I haven't. And they're not easy to find, and the originals, and they're not cheap. So
no, definitely not. I'm going to talk about a super underrated album for a minute. This is a fairly new arrival. Came out in '93, was not pressed on vinyl in the US in '93, so I've got an Italian copy of it. This is Poison's fourth album called Native Tongue. And this was the first album after they fired their guitar player, C.C. DeVille, and they hired Richie Kotzen, who, if nobody knows who he is a guitar player's guitar player. So he's one of those guys that a lot of the general public may not know by name, but like guitar players know and love Richie Kotzen. And so anyway, Richie Kotzen is the guitar player on this. And this record takes a fair beating in the press and all that. But I think it's incredibly underrated. This album is fantastic. And it actually has my favorite Poison song on it, just called Theater of the Soul. So this is a great record.
Can you show the back side of that record again?
Oh, God. Yep, I know.
That's awesome.
Look at the hair. Yeah.
Look at the hair and those abs, man.
I'm looking at the abs and all the.
And just think a year
Sean,
and a half later.
You guys look like something right out of a trashy romance novel, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right.
Adam, do you have anything to show us?
No.
Countryside.
He's showing us the McDonald's and the Exxon station as it's going by.
There you go.
Close. I can tell from the backdrop he's getting close to his place. So
let's rename this. Let's rename this video stream "Cocktails and Big Macs."
All right.
PC.
There you go.
Alrighty. Going back to 81, I believe, and I don't know if you guys have either heard of this guy, but this is another favorite album of mine from the time period. Allie Thompson, his second album, Deception is an Art. His older brother is Dougie Thompson of Supertramp. This guy wrote some incredibly intricate lyrics for his stuff, and off this one and the first album, Take a Little Rhythm, and didn't release another album until 2019.
Wow.
He was terrific, and I love this album. This unfortunately has a lot of moisture damage on the back where it moved, but the album is in great shape. And
as long as it plays, man.
I've been listening to it since the turntable came in.
Oh, wonderful.
I think I've heard Ollie Thompson's first album, but I don't think I've ever heard that one.
Yeah, the first album is better known. Take a Little Rhythm was actually a hit.
Okay.
Just didn't actually have a hit on it.
Right.
So TC, to your point, you have your turntables in now?
Yeah.
So you can finally listen to all those records you have behind you.
I'll be working on it for the next few months to come.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's great.
Adam was asking. I'm sorry, Kurt.
Go ahead.
Adam was asking, was that Brent Michaels with the abs?
That was Sean's.
Oh, let's see. Yes, that was Brett Michaels with the abs.
There you go. Yeah. All right.
So what did you get, TC, for a turntable?
I got a basic one because I still have a Marantz in storage. So I got a new high-rated Sony automatic. It's just basic, but it's working great. It sounds terrific. Records terrific. Love it.
You make your own records?
I'm recording stuff to the computer.
Oh,
okay, good.
digitally transferring stuff at him.
Yeah.
Not recording his own records.
Yeah. Very cool.
That'll come eventually.
All right.
Yeah. So I may have shared some of this before. Fad Gadget, who is a early 80s kind of electronic artist. And this was one of the first artists on Mute Records, if you're familiar with Mute. And the artist himself is Frank Tovey, is the artist's name. But he went by Fad Gadget for his first several albums. And I finally found this one. Again, this is one of the original OGs of the Mute release from early 80s. Like Alison Moyet and other people are background vocals on this kind of thing from the early days. But it's really, I mean, kind of if you're in the kind of the, I'm not sure really what to classify it as, but just kind of that early kind of electronic kind of.
I mean, that's the whole same scene that Depeche Mode was in.
Absolutely, yeah, very much so. Yep.
Yeah.
So and I know, Sean, you posted something today about a Depeche Mode record you bought. So maybe
I'll show that a little later.
Okay, great. But I really like Fad Gadget. I've been a big Fad Gadget fan for a long time, so cool. Glad to get that.
Yeah.
Okay. So from 1994, this is a UK original. Again, no US vinyl copy. Allegedly, there were only 1,000 copies pressed on blue vinyl, but there's no solid evidence to actually back that up. Regardless, they're not terribly common, but this is Megadeth's Euthanasia. So totally stoked to have this, because the problem, it's got a nice gatefold and nice inner sleeve. The problem with Megadeth is that the only way to get the original mixes of most of their albums on vinyl is to hunt down the originals, because all of the vinyl reissues that have come out since 2004, when Dave Mustaine went and completely remixed almost all of Megadeth's catalog up to that point. And he didn't just remix it to make it sound better. He went and re-recorded vocal parts. He re-recorded guitar parts. I mean, it was just complete historical revisionism. And so if you want to hear those things the way they were, unfortunately, and for Megadeth, you have to hunt down the OGs. It's just the way it goes.
Didn't he replay some of the guitar parts?
He did. Yep.
Yeah. And so I was in college, and I was at the radio station when that record came out, and I would just stare at the CD with those children hanging on the clothesline.
Yeah, it's pretty disturbing. Yeah, that cover art is pretty. Yeah.
Dave Iskel, yes, yeah.
Yes.
Adam says, wow, it really is him. Yeah. Well, very cool, Sean. Hey, thanks everybody for coming and hanging out with us for Cocktails and Vinyls. Tonight we have the Darn Brothers here hanging out with us, making it happen, showing some really cool records and just talking and drinking, all that cool stuff. Sean, I forgot you were a hard rock metal guy like myself. More so hard rock. I never got into Poison. Maybe I just haven't heard the right album or seen the right photographs. I mean, that first photograph,
you might want to check out Native Tongue. I'm telling you, man, you can find CD and cassette copies, anywhere really cheap. And I mean, dude, as a matter of fact, I think Adam's got a cassette copy right now.
I got a cassette or so of that. Yeah. Absolutely.
So, but yeah, it's worth checking out. I'm telling you, it's a good record. And Richie Kotzen plays some mean guitar on that album. So
we'll have to do Cocktails and Cassettes one night.
Well, and then Sean's your cocktail and cassettes guy, because I mean, Sean's been in some cassettes lately.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, TC.
What you got, TC?
Okay, for the next, going back to the smooth jazz stuff and the type of stuff that everybody loves to laugh at. KG. This is the second album, Gravity.
All right, that's it. I quit.
Kenny G. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, TC.
Yeah, well, I do enjoy, I love the saxophone, I love trumpet, I love keyboards. Those things I'm a sucker for all the way across. And Kenny G, once I heard duotones, I went back and got all of his earlier stuff. This is actually my favorite of his albums. It's got great stuff on it. I think this is the one with Love on the Rise on it also, which was the first hit he had before Songbird turned him into a superstar. But I do love this.
Funny little anecdote about Kenny G. So one thing I like to do, I'm a member of a couple of jazz vinyl lovers groups on Facebook. And sometimes, if somebody posts this, this really great classic jazz album or something, I'll say, boy, the band on that record is just a bunch of D-list alley cats that couldn't cut it in a real man's jazz band, right? Just joking around. And one time, this guy actually took me seriously. It was he posted like John Coltrane's Love Supreme or something, and I was like, oh yeah, that quartet's a bunch of D-list bums that couldn't cut it in a real man's jazz band. And this guy's like, really? Well, what do you think is a decent jazz band? And I said, oh, come on, man. I mean, Kenny G, Grover Washington Jr., like, come on. And dude, I had this guy going for like an hour. It was fantastic.
Teddy Pendergast.
Oh wow. Yeah. I think
TC,
Bruce Kulick.
Do you have the Keep It Saxy game from Kenny G?
Okay, now I really quit.
Okay, now I'm scared.
It's a game. I don't know. I've never opened it, so I'm not sure how you play it. But I think that Adam has one as well.
Look at those luscious locks, man.
I do. I can't wait to play it.
Okay,
yeah.
First a Marcel Marceau album, and now a Kenny G game.
There you go.
So let's talk about the Marcel Marceau album for just a second.
Yeah,
I listened to it today.
I have several copies of sealed copies of a Marcel Marceau album, if anyone is so interested. And again, it's a unique take on records in that sense. It's like, and you can look at on a regular website that talks about what is on these albums, and they'll tell you that's 19 minutes of silence and a minute and a half of applause on each side. So, if anyone's
I was going
interested
to say,
in
isn't Marcel Marceau, wasn't that a mime?
he's a mime.
Yeah, it came up during the sale the other night, Sean.
You guys are on a roll.
I'll pass, thanks.
Okay.
Somewhere.
It's great.
Hey, I've listened to Lou Reed's Metal Machine music start to finish all four sides.
There you go. Yeah.
That might be
Oh
about
yeah.
the same in some ways.
Yeah. The record
so-
hub says I have some cassettes from my youth, even though I don't have a player. Elliott's here. Hello, Elliott. Speaking of jazz, I'm spinning a Woody Herman box set on Columbia right now. Good stuff.
Nice. Woody Herman's good stuff.
To show that I'm not just all punk and weird stuff, I wanted to show this one. I recently got this Eastbound and Down with Jerry Reed, because you just have to have.
Does that have She Got the Gold Mine and I Got the Shaft?
It does not.
If there's a better name for a country music song than She Got the Gold Mine, I Got the Shaft, I can't think of one.
I just love the pictures. Here's the backside of it.
Oh, geez. So actually, the Flying Burrito Brothers actually scored some top 10 country hits in the early 80s. They shortened their name to just the Burrito Brothers. And one of the songs that charted was called I'm Drinking Canada Dry, and it had nothing to do with filter water. It was literally I'm drinking Canada dry. And the chorus is I'm drinking Canada dry since my woman said goodbye.
That was awesome.
Some of those classic country ones are, I mean.
You left the water running?
Yeah, just have to have them.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. All right.
Sean?
I got Adam, remind me of your Tuesday night cocktail guest. What was his name? Michael?
Yeah, Michael.
Yeah, so his whole show on Kiss did inspired me to show these because these are both new arrivals. Over this past weekend, I was in Kentucky, and I found this in Grayson, Kentucky, of all places, an original copy of Destroyer with the blue Casablanca label. I'd never seen one of those before, and I found it in the basement of an antique shop in Grayson, Kentucky. So that was cool.
Can we see the label on that, the blue one? I want to see if that's the one I remember.
Yep.
Because I think I only have that out of 45.
This one.
Yeah, I have a 45 on that old style label by Peter Noon, I think.
Yeah, I don't have that one either, but I got it when I got.
I've never seen the Kiss album on that label though. Wow.
Yeah, the first copies of Kiss Alive. So the first pressings of Kiss, of Dress to Kill, and Destroyer, and Kiss Alive all had the blue label.
Did that have the Kiss Army ephemera in it when you got it?
No, it didn't. The Kiss Army thing on Destroyer, the Kiss Army thing is actually on the inner sleeve.
Oh, there wasn't a sticker too?
No.
Okay.
Why, did it usually come with a sticker?
I thought it came, well, something came with a sticker that was equivalent to what you're showing.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember if it was that one or another, one of their other records. But
so the other recent Kiss arrival that I thought was pretty cool was this. 1 second, I'm just trying to see if I can get the important thing out here. So I actually, as many people that love Kiss Alive, I actually think I like Kiss Alive 2 a little bit better. And so it's very easy to find Kiss Alive 2, even original copies. It's also easy to find them with the booklet. However, it is incredibly difficult to still find them with the tattoos.
How many tattoos are there?
What's that?
How many tattoos? One.
Oh, I don't know. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, more than 10.
I want the spaceship or Venus or whatever it is.
I want the one that just says Ace.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I saw that and I was like, ooh, look at that. Because I've never seen a copy with the tattoos. So that was a pretty cool find.
Yeah, let's write in the song. My wife ran off with my best friend, and I miss him.
I probably had the original with the tattoos, and I don't know what happened to my tattoos, but
yeah, Adam, I did, and with Slave to the Grind, I'm just happy that with that Record Store Day one. And the reason I'm happy with it is because, believe it or not, there are actually 2 versions of Slave to the Grind. There's a censored and an uncensored version. So in the U.S., the only vinyl copy that came out was on Columbia House. And they took the song Get the Fuck Out off, and they replaced it with a different song that was not on the regular albums. And so what they did on the Record Store Day one was, it's actually, since it's a double LP, it's actually got both of those songs, which I think is pretty cool because the censored and uncensored versions are both, historically accurate versions of the albums. So, I wouldn't mind having an original copy. And I know that Box, I think it was the South Korean one that he was doing a comparison on. He said it just sounded fantastic, but man, I don't know, dude. I'm pretty happy with that Record Store Day one. That one sounds really good.
Did you notice that he switched turntables in the video?
No, I didn't.
I did. Yeah.
You would notice that, Adam.
Well, I was like, when I was watching the video, I don't mean to be critical, but I was like, what's more sad? The record sounds better, or Sebastian Bach? And so,
yeah,
he's a tough cookie, folks.
He's the guy. He does a voiceover on the Hair Nation channel on Sirius XM, and he says, "Hey, everybody, this is Sebastian Bach, the guy who put the hair in Hair Nation." I'm like, kinda, yeah.
Holy
so TC, what is your T-shirt before you share another record?
Just a mushroom.
Groovy.
Tie-dye.
I like
something more appropriate because I know Adam likes the tie-dye. So
That's awesome.
I do like them, TC. It's easier to tell they're not dirty.
Yeah, exactly.
Dirty hippies.
Dirty hippies. TC, I think it's your turn.
Oh, okay. Adam brought this out for you. You like the R&B stuff from the 70s and 80s. I don't know if you're familiar with her, but worth a shot. Do you? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Stacy Ladison, Let Me Be Your Angel.
Oh, man, look at that.
There you go.
1980. I have every single one of her albums. I am a huge fan.
Cool.
She is an amazing vocalist.
Yes,
she was
is.
13 or 14 when this came out. This had her only pop hit, which was her only big pop hit, Let Me Be Your Angel plus Dynamite. Love her. Love this song. I keep hearing she's going to go back into the studio. She's been retired for 20 years, singing in her husband's church. But I would love to see her back on vinyl or even CD, because we lost a great artist when she retired.
That's great, TC.
That
is good. Yeah.
Let me flip that 180 degrees.
Okay.
This is the Butthole Surfers double live album.
Yes. Dude, that album is so good.
It is very good. I recently got it. This is a limited edition, limited to 10,000, and this is number 8,148. But if anyone is a fan of the Butthole Surfers, and who isn't, this is a great record that includes a lot of their kind of very pre. What's the Larry record? What's it called? Anyway, pre those the whatever it was. So this is early stuff. So it's a great record. And I love it. It's got my favorite Butthole Surfer song, in case anyone wants to know, and of course you do, is Sweet Loaf. And if everyone's familiar with the song Sweet Loaf, it starts off very, very quiet, soft, very, very passionate, very, very, and it says, and there's a little kind of mechanical voice that says, "Daddy, what does regret mean?" And then the daddy says, "Well, son, regret, it's better to regret something." Oh, shit. It's better to regret what you haven't done than something you have done, or something along those lines. And it says, "And if you see your mommy today, tell her I said, Satan, 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 Satan." And it goes, "Brum, brum, 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 brum." So listen to Sweet Love.
Oh, boy.
Kurt, the Butthole Surfers always called to mind another band of that ilk from that same time period called the Ass Ponies. Do you remember them?
Yep.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite rock and roll lyrics of all time came from the Ass Ponies in the song called Grim. The lyric was, "Standing on a highway, pants around my feet, I'd piss her name out in the snow, but I can't piss Denise."
Oh, boy.
Yeah. And so Gibby Hayes is the genius behind the Butthole Surfers, and he's also been in Lard and a couple other records too. But so fun stuff.
Cool. So one of my favorite bands from the 80s and into the 90s is Midnight Oil. I've always been a big fan of theirs. The album Diesel and Dust, right? That was the apex of their commercial success, and that album is still fantastic 35 years after the fact. But the one that came out after Diesel and Dust, so Diesel and Dust was 1987. This one was 1990. Blue Sky Mining.
Oh, that's a good
this album is really, really good. And this did come out in the U.S. on vinyl. This is a U.S. pressing. And the 1990 pressings were pressed on translucent blue vinyl, which is cool. And so, I wouldn't say that Blue Sky Mining is better than Diesel and Dust, but I think it's probably fair to say that it's every bit as good. They mined a lot of the same kind of themes that they did on Diesel and Dust, a lot of political themes and social commentary and things. But yeah, man, this album, if you've never heard it, check it out. It's fantastic.
Very cool. This came out a few weeks ago. It is the record called Unearth. It's from a label in North Carolina from Hillsboro, and it's got some wonderful goth on here, folks, and a little bit of industrial, but more goth. And I play this a lot here, and it's neat to I mean, you're just stepping back into the good part of the 90s when you hear this. So that's really cool. I think, Kurt, did you pick up a copy?
Yep.
Have you listened to it?
I haven't listened to it. I was just going to pull it out. I can't find it right behind me right now. But
I love it. I played it today, and there were some customers here anyway. I ended up selling one, so I like it. When
Adam, you'll have to play that for me next time I'm in the shop. I'd like to hear that.
I'd be glad to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
TC, you sleeping over there?
Oh no, just listening. Okay, another album. I'm awake. I've been Adam and I have talked enormous times over the past year about the summer of '78. I'm actually doing a mini series later this month, or actually later next month, about it. This is primarily one of the reasons why Jerry Rafferty's City to City came out in late 1977, but it was in the summer of '78 that Baker Street turned him into a monster solo star for a couple of years. People don't remember that he was also the leader of Steelers Wheel and was responsible for Stuck in the Middle with You and Star. I've loved him. I'm trying to get everything. I'm still missing a couple of albums. I've loved his songwriting and his voice for years. We lost him back in the early part of the decade, last decade, 2010, I think. Terrific, utterly stupendous album, and one of my all-time favorites compared to, what everybody else listens to. I don't think City to City's on most people's lists. It is on
Baker
mine.
Street on that one?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
I played that yesterday in Wake Forest, TC. I enjoyed it.
TC, I'm just going to say that I really appreciate your love and knowledge of music from that time period, like popular stuff that from that time period, because I feel like a lot of that knowledge and love of that music is kind of waning with subsequent generations. So I really appreciate it. I love hearing you talk about this stuff.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey, Adam, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. Elliot, they text me and said, we're in the house, so we're okay there. Baker Street was all over their airways in late 70s. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I picked this up at the thrift store yesterday for $1, so I want to share it. But I mean, I'm a huge fan of John Hartford. If any of you are familiar with John Hartford as a bluegrass or a singer-songwriter,
I am not.
He wrote "Gentle on My Mind," which was one of Glenn Campbell's big hits. This is his "Gentle on My Mind" record.
Okay.
So, and again, he's got a bunch of really, 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 really fabulous bluegrass records. So if you're in bluegrass at all, pick up a John Hartford record if you get a chance. But I stumbled on a couple of gems at this thrift store yesterday for $1 each, and this was one of them. So, and I have a copy of this, but nonetheless, I picked up another because you can never have enough John Hartford. So anyone who's a banjo fan or a kind of twangy singer-songwriter fan, pick this up. So something from John.
So another one from 1990. This is their sophomore album, and some people don't like it as much as the first album. Personally, I like it better than the first album. I think it rocks harder. But this is Living Colour's album, Time's Up.
Oh yeah.
I think that Time's Up is, if not better than the first, at least as good. But this one definitely rocks harder. And these 1990 U.S. originals were pressed on translucent yellow vinyl. So, but I'm a huge fan of Vernon Reid and Living Colour. But, especially Vernon Reid. I mean, you want to talk about a guitar prodigy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
Oh, I bought a portable record player at Sam's last year. I need to figure out how to download my vinyl and TC can help you with that. Love absolutely. Hartford's a national, absolute great cover. I'm going to show one. So occasionally I run across these really cool records, and this was pressed in Costa Rica. I just love the fact that, at first I thought it was unofficial, but it sounds wonderful. And then I was able to find information online. So
that's the same Boston record, but it's just got a different cover.
Mm-hmm.
Costa Rican cover.
Yeah, a label by the name of Embassy. They licensed this and they pressed it in Costa Rica. So I just love the cover.
I remember seeing that at your shop, Adam, the last time I was in. That's cool. Yeah. That's really cool.
That is cool.
Is
it in Spanish? It's not in Spanish, though.
No.
Okay, just to make sure everybody knows that I'm not completely pop, if you haven't seen my latest video, I did just pick this up this week. It's the sophomore album from Andrew WK, The Wolf.
That's a good one.
I found it on the Enjoy the Ride site, which is the label, and it's a great colored brown and cream. Unfortunately, they were out of the first album, which I also love, but I'm a huge fan of Andrew WK. And I know, like I said, and my wife nearly killed me when I said this on the video, I would never go to a concert by Andrew WK because I don't want the kids in the front row going, "Oh, who brought their grandparents with them?"
Well, except that anybody that's going to go to an Andrew WK show now is probably a grandparent at this point.
At this point, yeah. Okay, Kurt.
Yeah. All right. So again, showing my great diversity of interests. I also have a big interest in the blues. So this is a record called Showdown, and this has Albert Collins, Robert Krate, and Johnny Copeland on it. This is on Alligator Records. I picked this up a few weeks ago, but I mean, again, I've got records by all of them, and I think I've seen all of them. But this is a great kind of collaboration record that I was not expecting to be as good as it was for $3. I picked it up for $3, and it's a fantastic record. Blues guitar, and blues guitar is, you can't beat blues guitar. So
Showdown is a good album.
Yeah.
So I won't go into too much detail on all of these individually, but these are all originals that came in recently, showing diversity in my taste. Parliament. Found some Parliament OGs recently. Mothership Connection. The clones of Dr. Funkenstein. Funktelechi versus the Placebo Syndrome. This one has the booklet and the poster with it. And Motor Booty Affair. So I love Funkadelic and I love Parliament, man. Anything George Clinton's involved in, I love. So yeah.
You're going to knock the roof off.
Bootsy Collins.
Those records are oh yeah, oh god, Bootsy Collins is a legend with good reason. But man, yeah, those Parliament records, those things are so funky you gotta spray them with Lysol before you play them.
There you go. Yeah. Elliot had a question. Does the Costa Rica cover make it more valuable? Yes, it does. It's unique, and for a completist, I gotta have it. Yeah.
Here's but not in Costa Rica.
I'm sorry.
Not in Costa Rica.
Not in Costa Rica. You get out there and get them by the dimes. So in August 31st, 1984. This lady, she since died. She paid $1.99 for this record right here, and it is still factory sealed, never been opened. So there you go.
And it's blue vinyl, right?
Yeah. The problem is you can't tell whether that was the blue or the black vinyl,
or the green.
Was there a green?
Was there a green?
Yeah.
Oh.
So,
I'll be quiet because I know nothing about Elvis.
So this was his last studio record.
Okay.
That was the album that was out when he died. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. Let's catch up on the comments. Not just knee deep, baby. Good doc on Parliament on Netflix. Clinton was such a cold-blooded businessman. Didn't want to pay Let's see, I have to.
Yeah, he was. The guy was a creative genius, but yes, he was an incredibly shrewd businessman. And I mean, hey, nobody's perfect, right? I mean, you can appreciate a man's art without necessarily appreciating his views on things. See Ted Nugent. Yeah. But I mean, that said, my God, you look at the creative output between Parliament and Funkadelic and all of his other projects, especially even his solo projects. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, George Clinton's solo single, Atomic Dog, I think that is one of the greatest R&B singles of the 80s.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, the All-Stars.
All-Stars in Las Vegas. Great free show. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Dawn, how are you? Thanks for joining us tonight. We're hanging out tonight, Cocktails and Vinyl, with the Dorn brothers.
Darn.
Yeah. So, YouTube. There is a video of a Parliament or Funkadelic show where they have the spaceship, and it's real fun to see that.
Swing low, sweet chariot, and let me. TC. Stop me from singing.
Okay. Adam, you remember two or three sales ago, I picked up a sealed copy of one of the more recent albums by the Rubinoos from you?
Yes, I do, with the shoes.
Yeah, the Rubinoos have been a big hit in my life since I was a sophomore in high school. And you can find their early albums, you can find their new albums. This one is practically impossible to find. This is Party of Two, their 5-song EP from 1983. And you can still get it if you look around at a decent price, but most of the time I see it going for $30, $40. And I mean, I know a place on, different places online where you can get it a lot cheaper. But it's just two of them at this point. Just John Rubin and Tommy Dunbar were still part of the group at the time. And they did get some airplay with If I Had You Back off this album. But it's terrific, and it goes well with the rest of their catalog. And they do have another re-release coming out today called the CBS tapes, which I can't get. I have pre-ordered, and I can't wait to hear it because they have a cover version of Heartbeat, It's a Love Beat on it. Should be quite fun.
Nice.
Clinton, Elliot, I read that story. Clinton would give the band members drugs throughout the tour. Then it was time to pay them at the end of the tour. He'll tell them they owed him money.
Yeah, I mean, with stories like that, I'm sure that there is some truth to it, but I'm also sure that a lot of that has been blown up over the decades. And as most things are, I'm sure the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. I mean, George Clinton was not a nice guy, right? And he's still not, right? He's not the kind of guy that you want to work with. But I'll listen to the dude's music because, yeah, the guy was a freaking genius artistically.
Yeah. This is kind of a mid-genre type thing. If any of you are from NRBQ, has always been a long time favorite of mine, and they really kind of hop around in genres, but they're mostly kind of just regular old rock and roll. But this is the Carl Perkins and NRBQ record, "Boppin' the Blues," which is a great record because it's got a bunch of Carl Perkins things on it. It's got some NRBQ things, and then a combination of the two. So just recently picked this up. I've been looking for it for a while, and just stumbled upon it in a local shop. But it's a great addition to my current library of NRBQ records.
Cool.
Awesome.
So next one I'll show in the same George Clinton vein. This is also a recent arrival. Original copy of Funkadelic's One Nation Under a Groove. And in addition to having the custom inner sleeve, this one also still has the bonus 7-inch EP that came with it. So pretty stoked to have that. I feel like One Nation Under a Groove was really, so that was, I believe, their debut for Warner Brothers. And so, of course, with a major label comes, expectations of sales and chart performance and all of that kind of thing. And, I feel like Clinton really delivered on on the title track, One Nation Under a Groove. That song used to be all over the radio when I was a kid. Like when I was a teenager, the local R&B station used to do their old school lunch. Now this was like 1992, 1993. And so their old school lunch was like R&B and funk from the 70s and the 80s. And man, they used to play One Nation Under a Groove all the time. And that song and Atomic Dog are the two songs that got me to love George Clinton's work.
There you go. Yeah. Hello, Cajun. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Adam says, in case you guys enjoy Pink and haven't seen, there's a short documentary of her UK tour online. So there we go.
Oh, cool.
Speaking of Pink, this is Kissing the Pink. I think Kurt turned me on to this, and I really liked it a lot. Good record. Yeah, absolutely. Kurt, you may know the answer to this. NRBQ did several albums with other artists.
Yeah, in fact, Skeeter Davis was one that they did an album with. And then they also did one with Captain Lou Albano, if you all remember Captain Lou.
Oh, Jesus.
Who was part of the big
I remember.
Wrestling thing back in the day. So they also did one with John Candy. So
oh wow. I just remember Yankee Stadium thinking that was really cool.
Yep. Skeeter Davis is the other one that I have. I don't have the Captain Lou one, but
very cool.
What you got, TC?
Okay, just a quickie series of things here. I do collect certain genres and certain things, and one of the things that I do collect is stuff that come from either Saturday morning shows or kid shows in general. Just a few of them I pulled to show off here. The original soundtrack from Zoom.
Oh, yes.
1974.
Nice. Does it have the Zoom song on it?
Yeah.
The Zoom, 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 Zoom.
The original soundtrack for Multiplication Rock. This is the OG, not the Record Store Day repress from a couple years ago.
Oh, that's awesome.
A show called The Kids from Caper, which lasted maybe 6 weeks on NBC in the spring of 1976.
Okay, yeah, I wouldn't be born for another 3 years, so that explains why I don't know that one.
Today.
Lancelot Link and the Evolution Revolution from Lancelot Link's Secret Chimp, which I just picked this up recently. And also another one I picked up recently, an old kiddie show. Kurt might remember it. I'm not sure what age group we're in. A show from Britain called The Double Deckers. It aired here in Britain on ABC television in the summer or the spring of 1971, I think. Peter Firth was the star of this when he was 12 years old.
No kidding.
And I have a lot of other things like that. I've shown some of them on my videos, but yeah.
Do you have the H&R Puffin stuff?
I do not. That I have a 45 of 4 songs from that show, but I don't have an album from them. But I do have Mickey Mouse Club stuff. I have other stuff like that. 2 more Zoom albums, and
there were more than one Zoom album.
There were 2 officials and an unofficial one by the first season cast that was released after they left the show.
The bootleg Zoom album. Is that what you're telling me?
What they won't bootleg, huh?
That's crazy. Since we've gone remote in the whole world, the original Zoom theme song, every time I get on a Zoom call, it goes through my head. So, I mean, it's like Zoom, 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 Zoom. And it's all these kind of crazy things they did on the Zoom show. And when I do that,
in the background.
Yeah. And when I do that in a meeting, that people who don't know what Zoom was as a TV show, they all look at me like I'm freaking crazy. So
let me tell you something. This show and the French Chef made Boston a mecca for me when I was a kid. And I still can't believe I'm living here now and have been for 30 years. Thanks to this show and the French Chef. Boston is my real hometown, and I'm glad to be in the area.
You said you grew up in rural Washington State?
A little bit in Washington State, a little bit in Central Ohio.
Where in Washington State? I was just curious.
I spent my high school years in a small town called Harrington, which is southeast of Spokane. And then I also lived for a year in out by Lake Bay, out on the peninsula by Tacoma.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious because my dad, for many years, lived in the Medhow Valley over in Omak and Twisp, sort of halfway between Seattle and Spokane.
Yeah.
And man, that is no man's land out there.
Yeah, it is. That and down toward the Tri-Cities, it's all desert also. I lived in Wenatchee for 6 months. That didn't really like it there.
Yeah, my dad lived about an hour and a half north of Wenatchee, straight up 97 from Wenatchee. Yep, about an hour from the Canadian border.
Very cool. And Kurt?
All right, so I mean, I'm not on a braggart thing here, but this is another one that I picked up yesterday at a thrift store, and I told Adam about some of them. It's one that I just can't help but share. This is a Cocteau Twins treasure, and it's original.
Look at that.
It's got still has the London tag on it, if you can see that.
Wow.
The original London tag on it. Again, it's in the record's in great shape. The cover could use a little bit of help, and again, I already have a copy of this, but I paid $0.25 for it at the local thrift store. So, and again, you know, when you see something like this in the wild, and you think, okay, I'm going to pay $0.25 for a Cocteau Twins original UK release on 4AD. If you're a record geek like some of us, you kind of wet yourself. So not that I wet myself, but it was a pretty exciting.
How do you have luck at thrift stores around Raleigh, Kurt? The only luck I ever have at thrift stores is the best of Ray Conniff and the best of Conniff.
You got to go frequently and at different times is what I've learned. So
Yeah. I don't know if I've seen an original Scooby-Doo record or not, but it'd be great to have. Yeah.
All right. So yesterday I drove 3 hours to get one record because the time to get your holy grails is when you see them. And so I drove up to Richmond to get this because one of these has eluded me for a very, very, very long time. I've seen a couple of copies of this in the wild, and every one of them that I've ever seen has been beat to hell. This is a near mint original 1990 copy of Depeche Mode's Violator, U.S. pressing.
Oh.
This thing looks like the day it came out of the shrink wrap. I mean, look at that all black cover. There's not a hint of ring wear on it. This thing is just gorgeous, and it sounds every bit as good as it looks. And then I go to pick that up, and they also had a near mint copy of my other favorite Depeche Mode album, Black Celebration. So, of course, that had to come home with me as well. This one, again, I mean, you know, all black, not a hint of ring wear. It's really hard to see, but it's got the embossed cover. And, yeah, so I do not have very much early Depeche Mode on vinyl. So these are very welcome additions for me because I absolutely adore Depeche Mode.
Do you have Speak and Spell?
I do not. Nope. The thing with Depeche Mode, I won't buy reissues. Depeche Mode is one of those bands that I want that original historical document, and I don't find them. So,
Yeah. Well, the crazy thing, you know, I think Kurt's bid $100 to get into my vault and shop and show me bidding, and I could have saved you a 3-hour trip.
I didn't know that you allow people to go into your vault, Adam. How am I unaware of this knowledge?
You have to bid.
You have to bid. Yeah. Yeah.
Those are great finds, Sean.
Thanks.
I like late 60s, early 70s soul and funk, and this is one
Can't go wrong
record.
with Roberta Flack.
This is one record I recommend everybody picking up and having. It is so good. It took me years to find a very nice copy, but it is so good. And it's mine. TC.
Adam, what's
We're
on that
drooling,
one?
TC.
Elliot spelled Krate wrong. Elliot, you spelled Krate wrong. Oh, gosh, you got to correct that. Elliot. Oh.
Adam, what's on the Roberta Flack, that one? I've not seen that one.
This one has Go Up Moses, Bridge Over Troubled Waters, Sunday and Sister Jones, See You Then.
I love See You Then.
Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow? To Love Somebody, Let 'Em Talk.
Let them talk. Good stuff.
Sweet Bitter Love. This This is so good, folks. It is
Oh,
so
yeah.
good. So whenever
Yeah.
you see this, buy it, buy it, buy it, buy it, buy it.
I
Sticking
second
on
that notion.
Yeah, she. I have a couple of her albums and didn't pull any of them. I should have thought of that for Adam. Keeping in the same vein I was in before, did not just kids stuff. I also grab TV soundtracks whenever they come out because you never know how long they're gonna run. You know, the show might bomb, like this one. Anybody remember Dreams?
Yeah.
Fall 1985. John Stamos' first solo hit on his own.
Yep.
The album is good. The show was terrible. Lasted 5 weeks with CBS, but they did a great cover of Naked Eye's song "Fortune and Fame" on here, and they also have a fairly decent cover of Jailhouse Rock. Considering John Stamos is singing it, it's not too bad. But I've got stuff from Kids from Fame and a bunch of other TV shows too.
I'd like to take a moment to recognize Elliot's mom's excellent taste in music.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, because Roberta Flack kind of crossed the boundaries a little bit, and correct me, you guys all give me a stink eye if I'm wrong, between the R&B and folk in that sense, because she really kind of tied into some of that 70s folk era, and so we had some of that growing up in my house.
Yeah, she definitely did. Yeah.
This is going to be a holy grail that I found that probably not a lot of people realize is a holy grail. I'm a Factory Records fan. For those of you who, again, I'm a big Joy Division fan, so Factory Records is part of that whole collection. This is a band called Quando Quango. Mostly what they did was release in the early mid 80s, a bunch of 12-inch singles. But this is their only record released, Pigs and Battleships, which is, again, on Factory Records, Factory 110. And I happened to stumble onto this in an auction recently, and was thrilled to get it. So again, it's kind of that mid 80s kind of Factory Records, quasi dance, quasi Joy Division, quasi Buzzcocks, quasi The Fall, all this kind of weird kind of mix of things in the 80s that used to happen at the Factory Records places like the Hacienda. But this is it's a really fascinating record. So
I have heard that record several times. I have never seen a vinyl copy of it ever in my life.
That's awesome.
Amazing.
What's the band's name again, Kurt?
Quando Quango. And this one has a little bit of water damage on the corner here, but not enough to make it any less exciting than BG Plus for me.
Absolutely, yeah.
Nice.
Adam was talking about AM radio. We have an AM radio station in Raleigh now that's doing classic rock, and
I listened to that after I dropped you off yesterday, Adam.
yeah, and so it's interesting to listen to an AM radio station that's not talk radio.
That's kind of nice. Yeah, talk radio or Jesus. Those are that's basically all you find on AM these days.
Yeah.
Which in some ways classic rock is almost turned into Jesus, given all those people have found God. So
You're telling me it's annoying as hell. All right. So speaking all right, so fine. Speaking of Jesus, right? Let's go a little country. So I know I've mentioned in the past that my niche with country music is the 80s and the very early 90s. A lot of the records that my mom had. I don't have any of my mom's records, but anytime I find ones that I know she had, I normally buy them. I'm sort of trying to rebuild the albums that she had. Found a few recently that I know she had. There's an original copy of George Strait's Beyond the Blue Neon. Mm-hmm. This has Hollywood Squares, Overnight Success, Ace in the Hole, Baby's Gotten Good at Goodbye. I mean, man, this is George Strait at the absolute apex of his career. This is a fantastic record.
Yeah. That one came in as a buyback last week, Sean. It had the shrink and the hype sticker, but the record was dished, and I passed. I should have got it so you could switch up.
Yes. So when I got that one, it was in shrink, and I saved the hype sticker. I took the shrink off because I always do, but I saved the hype sticker.
There you go.
And then all three of these were in shrink with hype stickers as well. My mom was always a big fan, and maybe you remember and maybe you don't, Ricky Van Shelton. He had a lot of country hits in the late 80s, very early 90s, and then just kind of dropped out. And he's just kind of been off doing his own thing and living on his millions. But I found copies of all three of his first three records. So this one's Wild Eyed Dream from 1987. And then Loving Proof from 1988. And Ricky Van Shelton 3 from 1990. So Ricky Van Shelton, the cool thing about Ricky Van Shelton is that he has a lot of songs that are more in the traditionalist vein of that time. If you think, George Strait or Clint Black or Randy Travis kind of thing, but he also mixed in a lot of elements of like 50s rockabilly into his stuff. So, it's just a really great blend. Ricky Van Shelton's really hard to describe in words. It's one of those guys you should really check out and hear. If you, especially if you like 50s rockabilly, because, even people that don't like country tend to like Ricky Van Shelton. He's pretty good.
Does anybody have a hype sticker we can show Adam? A hype sticker is a little sticker that was on the front of the record. It might say something like, so-and-so's follow-up record or best
Here
record.
we go.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, there you go. All right.
Oh, my God, TC, we haven't had a chance to talk about this. So this right here would
That's
be
your
the
hype sticker.
Yeah. Yeah. And we like him with a hype sticker. I like finding them with a hype sticker.
Whenever I find an opened record that still has the shrink wrap on it, I always take the shrink wrap off because I can't stand shrink wrap. It drives me crazy. But I will never throw away a hype sticker. I always, always, always keep the hype sticker.
Do you cut them out?
Cool
What do you
thing
do?
to have.
Do you cut them out, or how do you make them?
No, I just cut them out of the shrink wrap.
Yeah.
So, I don't try and peel the sticker off. I just cut around it, and then I just put the hype sticker in the jacket.
I recently started to figure out how to do that. As old as I am, I should have known better. But
Wow.
I didn't used to like shrink wrap at all, but when I've been buying them secondhand and they still have the shrink and the tags on it, I tend to keep the shrink wrap now because I'm too lazy to cut the tags off.
I'm gonna queue up my next record, which has a really old hype sticker. So I'll get there. Adam, what do you got?
Hey, Mick, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. You're so welcome, Adam. I got this wonderful John Ashley record. I love this record. So cool. It's got a gold stamp promo on it.
who is it?
John Ashley.
Oh, okay, John Ashley.
Yeah.
I think I have that on CD. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. I have to look.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's very cool. Just 80s wonderful music.
Okay.
TC, that
Mm.
RSD Al Green is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet. It's on my first morning list tomorrow morning. So, but when you work the way I work, it's hard to get anything done. All right, everybody's ready for a good laugh, and this is going to produce it because I happen to love this guy. I always have, and I actually picked this up from Two Hip Chicks a few months ago on one of their sales. This is the original Bell Records pressing of Barry Manilow's first album. The first album, of course, everything's been reissued on Arista, but it has the classic Bell label from the 1970s, and This was right before they did the conversion. I have a couple of Melissa Manchester's on Bell also. It's the same album as Barry Manilow 1, as it was retitled under Arista. But I couldn't resist grabbing this. They had it for $11. I'm going to say, yeah, I'll grab it.
So did Bell become Arista?
Yes.
Oh.
It was reorganized.
It's
And that's
known
the
as the
reason
dog.
there's a different cover for the other Barry Manilow.
It's known as the dog-faced Barry Manilow, isn't it?
What?
What?
It looks like a dog face. Isn't that what the one that's known as the dog-faced Barry Manilow?
It might be. But then again, he's not the most photogenic guy in the world either.
He is not, and I may have just made that up. Sorry.
I love P. She's my buddy. Yeah. Okay. Okay, Mr. Kurt.
I didn't really know this existed until recently when I got it. It's an early David Bowie 1966 to 1997.
Oh yeah.
The Images record.
Cool.
It doesn't have a lot of his more popular hits on it, but it's got a great cover, and it's a double LP, so it's got all these great cartoonish things that seem to really represent a lot of what Bowie was. So excited to get it. And again, not a lot of things that people would say, oh, that's the David Bowie record.
I've heard that before. It's got rubber band. Rubber band. Yeah. There's a rubber band. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Darn, wake up.
Mr. Sean Darn.
All right. So my next thing that I'm going to show here is this is one of the best-selling jazz records of all time. This is an original mono copy. It is not Kind of Blue. It is not Time Out. It is not Blue Train. It is not Minka Sa What it is Getz Gilberto. Stan Getz and João Gilberto, probably one of the best-selling bossa nova albums of all time. No jazz collection is complete without this.
Mm-hmm.
This is, I can't possibly say anything about this album that hasn't already been said by a million different people 100 different ways. But the version of a Girl from Ipanema on this is amazing. And it was a hit in the 60s. And this copy still had the hype sticker. From 1964 contains the original hit, or contains the hit record of The Girl from Ipanema. Take a look at that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I thought that was so cool.
That's a great record. I have that record too. So.
Oh, I love it. I love Getz Gilberto. I don't listen to it a lot just because I have a big jazz library to choose from. But man, every time I put Getz Gilberto on, I'm like, God, this is so good.
What's he going to show us? What's he doing?
Uh-oh.
Tears for Fears, the original.
Love. Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Tears for Fears?
That was the UK release of The Hurting from Tears for Fears.
Okay.
Right? Adam?
Yeah. No, it's domestic.
It is domestic.
Yeah.
Even better. At least for me.
I thought the domestic had a different cover.
I think the UK has a different cover.
Well, maybe I have the UK.
All right, you're looking for this? Wow.
That's a great record.
The Tears for Fears album that I'm hot and heavy for right now that I don't have that I wished I did was a 1989 U.S. original of Sowing the Seeds of Love. I need that album, and I have yet to find it.
Did that come out on vinyl?
So
I have the CD. I didn't know it came out on vinyl. So
yeah, I mean everything came out on vinyl in 1989. Still, the problem is that nobody was buying it. So even albums that sold a bajillion copies didn't sell a bajillion copies on vinyl. They sold a bajillion copies on cassette CD.
I'll tell you, at the time I was in the late 80s, I was living in Lancaster, Ohio. We had a couple of record stores at the mall. By 87, all they were selling was CDs. They weren't even touching the vinyl.
Which is one of the reasons why anybody like me that has a lot of vinyl from 87, 88, 89, 90 will tell you that record club pressings of those titles are much easier to find in the used market than stock market copies are, because so many record stores just quit stocking vinyl.
Yeah, most of the vinyl I have from that period are from the clubs.
Yeah, from Columbia House or from BMG. Yeah.
13 of them for 1 cent. How could you go wrong?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Poison. Okay.
Who's up? Adam? Oh, you showed yours. All right. More eclectic stuff.
Please turn.
Soundtracks from 80s movies. Another area I love. The pop soundtracks, not the scores, although those are a separate monster with me. Not a great movie. Great soundtrack. Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia. Great for one reason. When I was in high school, I was madly in love with Christy McNichol. Long before...
I had a Christy McNichol poster in my bedroom.
Kurt, are you a fan of the pirate movie?
Sure, if Christian McNichol was in it, I was, but
yeah, exactly. Yeah, she had a song on here called "I Need You Strong for Me."
is
which
that
is
Luke
one of my favorite
Skywalker
songs.
next to her though?
It is. That's Mark Hamill and Dennis Quaid.
Wow.
The movie came out in 1981 and tanked, but the soundtrack is in my collection. So,
is that the guy from Christmas Vacation? No, that's Randy.
It was
Never mind.
one of the Quaids.
that's Randy. Yeah, that's Randy, the older one.
Yeah.
Do you have the Corvette Summer soundtrack?
No, I do not.
I don't know if there is a soundtrack for Corvette Summer, but
I think there is, but I haven't. That would be a little too early then before I started getting into the soundtrack, the pop soundtrack stuff. I think the earliest one I might have is Animal House.
It has Mark Hamill in it. That's the only reason I asked that. So. Someone mentioned this when you showed your Tears for Fears, Thomas Dolby. This is not his first and most popular record, but this is the Flat Earth, which was his second and really maybe his only other record that and it has one of the best songs I think he's ever done on it, which is called Hyperactivate, which is kind of a rappy type song for Thomas Dolby, and it's really a great record. And Thomas Dolby, for those of you who don't know, is a new wave artist that also was a pioneer in electronic music in terms of
he was
developing a lot of pieces of the electronics that actually make it happen. So for lack of a better way to say it. So
the two US versions of the golden age of wireless are one of the only exceptions I've ever made to my I'm not allowed to have two copies of anything rule.
Yeah.
Because the two US versions basically play like two completely different records.
Yeah.
The 12-inch extended remix of Hyperactive is so good.
And I have that, and I have the 7-inch, and I have several versions of Hyperactive. So
yeah.
I think Thomas Dolby was lost on the general public for the most part. All they knew of the guy was
She
blinded me with science, and then they didn't hear anything else that he did. The same thing happened to Nick Kershaw and a number of other British artists in the early 80s.
Yeah.
Thomas Dolby put out a great single in the mid 2000s called Oceania. You should check out. It's really good.
Well, even the golden age of wireless. Sorry to interrupt you, Sean. Quite frankly, if you listen to the whole record, the maybe kind of the song is "Blinded Me with Science" with everything else that's on that record. I mean,
it's amazing.
One of our submarines and all those pieces in there. I was just like, okay.
Oh yeah,
such a great record.
That's why I have both copies of it, man. I mean, it's just an amazing album, top to bottom, either version. Okay, so a little bit of jazz. Came into this recently. Original copy of Prestige 7092, Art Farmer and Donald Byrd, 3 trumpets, with Idris Sullivan, and a great rhythm section of underrated jazz stalwarts, Hot O'Brien on piano, Addison Farmer on bass, and Ed Thigpen on drums. Great record. If you like brass in jazz, you ain't gonna go wrong with this.
Very cool. We see these records from time to time. They're promos, and they have something called a time-in strip. And this one's kind of unique. I found this in a buyback. I'm going to enlarge the screen and kind of show it to you. So we've seen these right here. The radio stations could check off songs they want to have, and it was a quick way to see what the running time was. But I'm going to show you something unique about this particular record. So this is a 70s, 80s Columbia house. I'm sorry, Columbia. And there's a sticker on the actual label that says "Not for Sale." Promotional.
Oh, so instead of it being a white label or having the gold stamp on the cover that said it was not for sale, they just put a sticker on the label?
There's a sticker on the label, promotional record for broadcast and review, not for sale. And the matrix is 1B and 1A. So people are always talking about 1A, but
No, so believe it or not, 1A is not always a first pressing. So with Columbia, I'll give people a little lesson on that quickly.
Well, hold on to that, Sean. I'll finish my show. Then you can
yes, please. Sorry.
And so we've seen these time-in strips. So this particular record came with a time-in strip, that had not been, the adhesive had not been removed.
Oh, look at that.
And so I always knew that it was a sticker that was put on there. So it's kind of neat. And time
That's
and
very
shipping
neat.
clothes.
I've never
So
seen one like that before. They're usually
wonder
already
how
on the
many
album.
I wonder how many records that had these that got tossed away.
Huh. That's really cool.
So
I've
you were
never
saying
seen
about
one like that either.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
were
that's
saying about
crazy.
pressings, Sean?
Yeah, so the thing with Columbia, right, especially, you know, in the 60s, 70s, and into the 80s, Columbia, so, you know, everybody's like, oh, you know, you want the 1A, 1A. Well, not necessarily, because for any Columbia album, 1A through 1F is going to be a first pressing, because keep in mind that Columbia had 3 pressing plants back then. They had one in Santa Maria, California, one in Terre Haute, Indiana, and one in Pittman, New Jersey. And so anytime that a record would get cut, they would go and they would make 6 lacquers of each side and send 2 to each pressing plant. So each of those lacquers would be 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, 1E, 1F. And then they would go and they would send 2. So maybe, you know, the 1A lacquers and the 1E lacquers would go to Santa Maria, or, you know, the 1Bs and the 1Ds would go to Terre Haute, that kind of thing. And so at minimum, even for albums they didn't expect to sell a lot of, if you have a 1A through 1F, it's basically a first pressing. Now, for albums where they expected more to sell, they would cut even more lacquers and send those out. Because remember, you can only get about 25,000 records out of the mothers that you could create from a lacquer. And so they had to create a ton, and Columbia was built for high volume record pressing. And so I've seen white label promos, which are guaranteed first pressings, that were, you know, 1H, 1J. And that's just because, you know, and what the 1 signifies is the master that was used. And there are some Columbia albums where a 1 isn't even there, because the only time that that 1 would become a 2 or a 3, like if you see a 2A or a 3F or something, the only time those ever got changed was if the 1 master, the very first master, was worn out beyond playing and they had to make it from a safety copy. Or there are a lot of cases where an album came out and they had to make a last-second change to a mix or something and create a whole different master. And so they would create the first pressings out of the second master that had the updated mix or whatever they needed to do. So a great example of that is Miles Davis's album, Miles in the Sky. There is no 1X of any first pressing. Every single first pressing starts at 2A. Because for whatever reason, the 1 master just wasn't used. There was something wrong with it. So, but yeah, so if, you know, for anybody watching, if somebody tries to tell you that something's not a first pressing because it's not 1A, that's ridiculous for Columbia. That's all about pressing plant.
Another thing, the 1A could have gotten damaged and it was retired or destroyed. So.
Yep, and record pressing plants sometimes lost those stampers too. And so they would have to go and request another one, and yeah.
There you go.
Sean, when are you going to host a master class in all this stuff? Because I tell you,
so I'll give you one other interesting piece of information. One other interesting thing. Columbia reset at the letter L. So it would go 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. So like, for instance, 1D would be the 4th cutting from the first master, right? That's what 1D would mean. So it would go 1D, 1E, 1E, 1F, you know, blah, 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 all the way up to 1L. And then at 1L, they would reset and it would go from 1L to 1AA. And then 1AB, 1AC, 1AD, all the way up to 1AL. And then it would be 1BA, BB, BC, BD, etc. That's how they did it.
At least you wouldn't get a pressing of a plate that done 500,000. So
yeah. And you know, another good example is Bob Dylan's Blonde on Blonde. The original mono copies of that, some of those are created off of a 4th generation master. The first pressing, I think, on side 3 is like 4E, or I mean, it's crazy. So
what is it like for Dark Side of the Moon?
Dark Side of the Moon wasn't Columbia, so it was completely different.
because there's got to be a million different masters for that as well.
Yeah, the easiest way to identify an original copy of Dark Side of the Moon is to look inside the gatefold in the lower right and see if it mentions that the sleeve is an Interpack design, Interpak. If you see Interpack, it's a first pressing. That's the easiest way in the world to identify.
Only domestic.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, I should be right. Yes, U.S. pressings. Sorry, all I ever deal with is U.S. pressings. So you'll have to forgive me if I kind of forget everything else exists.
One of the best sounding The Dark Side of the Moon is the Wally Winchester pressing.
And what makes that one so good?
It just
the fact that it was mastered by Wally Troggut.
Oh,
yeah, and Winchester was a good pressing plant.
Here you can see right there. You see where it says Interpack patent pending.
Yep.
Only the first U.S. pressings had that. If it doesn't have that, it's a repress.
Huh.
I have an Interpack Wally Winchester and Shrink.
Oh.
What? Did you just
Let me guess, is that your vault?
That? Oh, that's about the record. I'm sorry.
Is that in your vault, Adam? Is that in your vault?
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
Does it have the posters and the stickers?
It does, but to have a gatefold record that still has Shrink on it,
that's pretty awesome.
It's pretty rare.
Yeah.
TC, show us what you got before we do something nerdy.
Well, I just want to say, I'm serious though. Having been a collector for all my life, I was never into things the way I've gotten into them last year. I never knew about any of this stuff on the dead wax or anything else. And so it's been a hell of a time trying to catch up with all the info on that.
Yeah.
Because it's I'm not really versed in it. Okay.
You just like the music, right, TC?
I was in it for the music.
Like, okay,
that's what I was in it
wait
for.
till you found a 7-inch that's vinyl and the same record, the same record songs are styrene. And you're like, how did this happen?
Well, I have plenty of styrene 45s.
It's incredibly easy It's incredibly easy to figure out styrene versus vinyl. All you have to do is just hold it and tap it with your fingernail.
I'm referring to the same song, the same record. One will be on styrene, one will be on vinyl.
Yeah,
I have some like that too. All right, back to the mind-blowing stuff. This actually came out in 1976, and it was released at the height of the early conventions run for the original Star Trek television show. It was recorded in New York, hosted by Gene Roddenberry, Inside Star Trek.
Wow.
Leonard Nimoy and William Shatner are both on here. I believe there's a few other things too, but this I never saw this in a store. I only found this through Columbia House. I don't know whether it already sold in stores or not. Maybe.
So was it a convention only type thing? What they would show at the different conventions? So
it's a recording of the various talks and various questions and answer sessions that went on. Huh. It's a great little album, though, if you're a big fan of Star Trek like I am.
That's cool. Maintaining my eclectic tastes. Gil Scott-Heron, for some of you who know him from a variety of his different genres, he's spoken word, funk, soul, jazz. I believe this was probably his last record. I'm new here. They may have met one more after that, but I think this was his last one that really hit before he passed. Love this record. It's a great record. Kind of a little mix of the spoken word and funk and soul that he was so renowned for. And it's still a little bit of his political activism associated with it as well. Great record. So pick it up.
I like everything of Gil Scott-Heron's I've ever heard, and I still think my favorite thing of his, as cliche as it may be, my favorite album of his is still The Revolution Will Not Be Televised.
Yep.
I love that album so much.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of his, and some of them are his collaborations with different kind of beat poets and poets as well, and it's so much fascinating and eclectic and really kind of cutting edge stuff, even to when he did this in the mid 2000s.
So this is one I thought I'd go my entire life never having. Stone Cold OG.
Blue Train.
This is If somebody said, I've never heard jazz before, play me some jazz, this is one of the records I'd play for them. Again, no jazz collection is complete without this. I mean, this is something that even people with just a passing interest in jazz should have. The opening notes of the first song, the title track, Blue Train, when you put the needle down and then you hear Curtis Fuller come in with that trumpet line, da 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 da, boom, boom. Yeah, I mean, it just hits you right here, man. The session players on this. So this is Coltrane on tenor, Curtis Fuller on trombone, Lee Morgan on trumpet, Kenny Drew on piano, Paul Chambers on bass, and Philly Joe Jones on drums. I mean, going back to what I said earlier, a bunch of D-list alley cats that couldn't cut it in a real man's jazz. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
Awesome.
Very cool. Speaking of a Coltrane, the new detective show is on streaming now. Bosch, and he likes to play jazz records. We're watching that. Ricky plays in a band called Yarn, and Ricky grew up in the New York City area, and he went to see a lot of stuff. And he would come in and he would just talk about Leroy Vinegar, and I was like, "Who's this cat, Leroy Vinegar?" And so I started listening to Leroy Vinegar. Leroy Vinegar is a good bass player, folks, and I have.
You think?
And it's hard to see, folks. Let's see if I can make it happen. But Leroy Vinegar did a carving on the headstock of his bass, and let's see if we can see it. It's hard to see, but you can go online and look at it for yourself, and perhaps check out the carving. And Leroy is also on this record here, Stan Levy. I like Leroy. Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out with us tonight for Cocktails and Vinyl, hanging out with the Darn Brothers. Hello, Lisa. Blue Train issued on blue vinyl. Yes, beautiful it is. What do you say we do this our last round? Why don't everybody just show 3 records, and yeah, we'll make it happen.
I'll have to get 3. I just pulled one more. So you guys go ahead, and I'll find 3 more to grab.
There's one right there. Can you grab that one, Sean? Yeah.
Which one?
There.
That one right there. The third one over from the left.
Right there. Yeah.
Yeah, that one. Okay, yeah, I'll get right on that.
All right, just 3 in a row. As I said earlier, I'm very much looking forward to hearing this, Adam. I know you're loving it. I know I'm going to love it. I love Al Green, and I've been a fan since I was a kid, so I cannot wait to put this on the turntable tomorrow morning. In fact, I'm going to put it up there right now so I don't forget to do it.
That's the record store day release, right?
Yes, that's the new record store day release. Another classic I recently bought from Adam, Alan Sherman, classic comedy, My Son the Nut. This has got great stuff on it. I have actually listened to this on MP3. I have several of his albums on MP3. So this will be fun to listen to. And concluding my trip through my crazy world, I can't go anywhere without talking about Karen Carpenter. Carpenters are one of my favorite artists of all time. Karen Carpenter was a goddess to me when I was growing up. And this is the album that was released after her passing. This is actually VCLT for somebody that I haven't sent out yet. And love her, and I will love her voice until the day I die. I am a diehard Carpenters fan.
TC, I don't think your world is weird.
Oh?
I don't think so at all.
I'm going to see how opposite I can go from TC, though, with my 3. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, that's more the fun.
No, it is. I mean, it's great to have an eclectic taste, right? So this one is the band is called Nash the Slash. This is the Million Year Panic. This is a compilation record from several of the things they did. It's on Ralph Records, if that means anything to anyone. It's kind of, if you're familiar with The Residents or Snakefinger or any of those other things on Ralph, it's kind of quasi comic, weird electronica. But it's I just discovered NASA Slash recently, and it's it's from the '80s, but out of Canada, and it's just fantastic stuff. So I just got this recently. It's great. I got this one from Adam not too long ago, and I love it. This is San Francisco Roots record. 13 songs by the originators of the San Francisco psychedelic sounds, and of course the kind of key one on here is Someone to Love and Free Advice by Grace Slick and the Great Society. So it wasn't Lean when she was with her namesake, but this is kind of early San Francisco stuff. It's got the Bob Remmels on it. It's got the Vegetables spelled with a J, and a couple other groups, Night Riders, Takis, and the what's the last one?
Mojo Man.
Oh, Mojo Man. Yeah. Again, it's a fascinating record. It's a lot of fun, and I appreciate that.
Cool record, yeah.
Got a chance to buy it from Adam. Last one I'm going to share is a Record Store Day piece. Sean, I know you picked this up as well.
I sure did.
Yep. And again, I haven't listened to it yet, but who doesn't love L7? So
I certainly do.
Excited to put it on here. So probably this weekend as well. To TC's point about some of these records and listen to some of this great kind of.
It sounds great, Kurt. You'll enjoy it. You'll love it.
Early classic punk, if you want to call it that, in a female musician's tradition. So, and Adam, thanks for letting me share.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for letting me share as well, Adam. So my final three. From the mid 70s New York rock scene that gave us Patti Smith and Blondie and the Ramones, what Patti Smith referred to as a reclamation of rock and roll, original copy of Television's Marquee Moon. This record single-handedly is one of the most influential albums in terms of 80s alternative rock. You go back and say again?
Can we see the label?
Yeah.
I love Marquee Moon.
Inner sleeve.
Da-da, 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 da-da.
I could listen to this album until my ears bleed. So good.
What's their other record? Marquee Moon and
yeah, the one with the red cover, the second album. I like that one too. I forget the name of it.
Yeah.
This is one I got from Adam that I was pretty stoked to grab. An original 1990 copy on white vinyl of Confessions of a Knife by My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult. This is fantastic, man. And, TKC, they wouldn't really achieve commercial success until a little bit later in the 90s. They had some stuff on the radio around like 93, 94. But this one from 90, this is the one that really got people excited about them. And, yeah, it's a great record. And then last but not least, so when it comes to smooth jazz, a lot of people – this is not a smooth jazz record, by the way. This is actually a metal record. So when it comes, but allow me to start with smooth jazz.
There's a tease. That's a tease, Sean.
Right? Even people that make fun of smooth jazz, which I'm one of them, they write Grover Washington Jr. a pass because that man invented smooth jazz, and his stuff is actually pretty good. So when it came to the 90s and the early 2000s, nu metal was all the thing, and mixing metal and rap and everything, and you had bands like Limp Bizkit and all, and they all, I mean, that whole thing, it was all a bunch of crap. But the band that invented it, oh yeah, here's an original copy of Korn's "Follow the Leader," 1998. Yeah, this record is awesome, absolutely awesome. This is everything that is right about nu metal and nothing that was wrong about it. I can't say enough good things about this record. I love it to pieces. So,
I'm sorry, Art, but I'm sure Gabrielle was good also.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Very cool, Sean. I don't care for Korn, so
yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not everybody's cup of tea. It's all right.
I'm always looking mini disc. I showed those last night with Katie, but I'm always looking mini disc. If anybody has any mini disc, reach out to me. When I get more mini disc, I'll let this one go.
My wife's saying she had a mini disc player when she was younger.
Well, Sean, you're going to have to get her another one. Yeah.
We're getting all our mini discs.
She's sitting there shaking her head.
I like reel-to-reel format. I like the factory album release reel-to-reels. This is one.
Wow.
Which Aerosmith is that?
Draw the Line.
Okay.
This is the one where the artist would put his child's name in here.
Huh.
Yeah. See if you can find it. And then,
do you have a player for those, Adam?
I do.
No.
Yeah, there's one in Wake Forest, Sean. We'll have to look it up one day and play some mini disc. And then
I'm all about it.
It just happened that I have 3 different formats, and they were all Aerosmith. But this is it's a fan pressing. It's a fan club pressing of the live show. Yeah. So there you go.
I think I heard you playing that one time when I was in Wake Forest, and I think it was actually sounded really well.
Yeah, it did. So that was kind of cool. Yeah.
Cool.
But I love music and formats and physical media. Yeah, cool things like that. Yeah. Wow. Any final words?
Just mentioning, formats and stuff. I mean, that's kind of why I've gotten slightly into cassettes a little bit, is because if you look at all my cassettes, they're all from like 88 to like 92, and finding the OG copies of that stuff on vinyl, if they even exist, is a fool's errand, and they're so expensive, and you can buy the tapes for $3-4. So why not?
And in that era, the tapes were pretty good sounding too.
Yeah, a lot of them were. As long as they weren't played to death or sat in somebody's car stereo for 3 years on constant run. Yeah.
You mean my wife wore out her Extreme albums?
Here's the question: should we do another Darn Brothers cocktail and vinyl?
Sure. Definitely.
There you go, folks. Yeah.
Let us collect a little bit more records before we do it again, but
yeah,
because all of us need more records. The thing I'm now chasing now is my final word is long box CDs.
You are?
I don't have a lot of them, but I've got a couple of the kind of like factory record long boxes. So,
when I was a kid, it always seemed to me that those long boxes, when I would see them at Target or any of those type of places, it always seemed like such a waste of packaging. And it wasn't until I was probably in my 20s that I realized that they did it that way so they would fit in the LP bins and retailers wouldn't have to buy new shelves of stock CDs.
Yep. And then so all those are gone. I mean, you don't find many more long boxes anymore, so it's rare that you find one.
Are you just looking at any long box or a certain artist?
Generally the kind of similar artists that I try to collect. Okay. So a lot of the kind of new wave punk stuff. But
one day a guy came in with like 8 long boxes of the same artist, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll take them."
Were they all sticks?
No, it was actually a Raleigh girl that had a CD. Yeah.
Not that there's a problem with Styx, don't get me wrong, but
not at all.
Styx's new album, the one they just put out a couple of months ago, maybe even or more recently than that, a fairly new album, absolutely fantastic. Check it out, really good.
Who's in Styx now? Is it the same? Is it still Tommy and?
Let me look real quick before I.
JT, is that his name? JT.
Hold on. So the album's called Crash of the Crown, and it is. Hang on.
I couldn't hear you, TC.
You're thinking of JY, James Young.
James Young, yeah.
So right now on Crash of the Crown, which is the newest album, let's see. It is on that record. It's Lawrence Gowan, Tommy Shaw, James Young, Ricky Phillips, Chuck Panozzo, and Todd Schuerman.
Okay. Tommy Shaw is one of the probably maybe the Young. Is that Young the same Young, or is that his son?
It's James J.Y. Young. No, that's the same guy.
Tommy Shaw did
a
bluegrass album a few years ago.
Really?
Yep.
I always thought it was weird that he formed Damn Yankees with Ted Nugent and Jack Blades and Michael Cartellone. Like it seemed like such a different style for him.
Darn Yankees.
Darn Yankees.
For this group, it's the darn Yankees.
Hey, you darn Yankees!
Oh boy.
Yeah, Adam, thanks for letting us get together.
Thanks everybody for hanging out, and thanks for coming out and cool things like that. Rock and roll, everybody.
Good to see y'all.
All right, you guys stay right there where you are. Don't go anywhere.